Hey everybody, welcome to Reflections, the wisdom of Edgar Cayce. We're happy to be coming to you live courtesy of our broadcasting partner, moretalk.tv. And this week on the show, I'm honored to welcome Kim ONeill. Kim is voted Houston's top psychic by Houston Press Magazine. She's the author of How to Talk with Your Angels, Discover Your Spiritual Destiny, The Calling, My Journey with the Angels, and the forthcoming title from ARE Press, The Way of Knowingness, The Intuitive Path to Your Spiritual Destiny. For over 2 decades, Kim has conducted private channeling sessions for an international list of clients, including business, media, political, and religious leaders, as well as fellow psychics. She has established seminars and workshops designed to help people transform their lives and develop greater spiritual awareness. Her website is KimONeillPsychic.com. Kim, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to speak with you.
Absolutely. And I understand that you have recently put together a book that is called The Way of Knowingness and the Intuitive Path to Your Spiritual Destiny. And this is published by ARE Press. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about this book and maybe why did you decide to write this one in particular?
Absolutely. And Brent, thank you for asking that question. This particular book is a very special project for me because it represents 27 years that I've worked professionally as a channel. And, during that time, one of the most frequently asked questions in my private sessions has always been, who am I? Why am I here? What are my gifts, talents, and abilities? What path should I be following? What is my purpose? And what I've discovered is that when individuals discover an awareness of the path they should be following, which I refer to as their destiny, and how they can speed their progress by learning how to access the intuitive information that flows from their guardian angels and their soul. And so all of the answers that we are looking for to find the right path, to move forward at a nice rate of speed, with momentum in our lives, is already flowing to us. All the direction, all the information is flowing directly from our soul and also our guardian angels. And of course, our soul is also known as our higher self. And the soul operates as an internal compass in every one of our earthly lifetimes. And once we develop the habit of listening to this guidance from the soul and from our angels, it's incredibly life-changing. We suddenly have a far greater level of knowingness, which I define as an unmistakable intuitive sensation when something feels right, at which time we just know in every molecule of our being that we're in sync with this divine guidance coming from our soul and our angels. Sometimes when people have a knowingness, they might feel goosebumps and a feeling that is completely unmistakable. We just know it inside of ourselves that we are aware of something we should do, something we should say, but we can expand this level of knowingness, and that's why I wrote the book. As a professional channel, I've helped clients connect with the source of knowingness through developing this more tangible relationship with their soul and their angels, and I've seen firsthand how quickly dreams can be turned into reality simply by understanding that the inner guidance is already there and how easy it is to tap into it. And I passionately believe that we all possess the ability to create an extraordinary quality of life. And at the same time, we're all here to contribute to the lives of other people using our own unique gifts and talents. Winston Churchill once said, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." And I know so many of the wonderful people that I channel for and that I speak to in front of my workshop audiences are asking not only what is the path I should be following, but how can I make a difference in other people's lives? What are the gifts, talents, and abilities I have that will lend themselves to create a kind of ripple effect, to allow me to be of service to other people? And I think today, more and more, we're asking ourselves, am I really being of service to others? Am I not only evolving, in working through issues, but am I serving people in the way I can and should? And there's a very good kind of a litmus test We know if we're in our life's work, if we feel that our heart and soul are singing, really, if we just know if we're in our life's work. And at the same time, we know if we're not in our life's work. And so I wrote The Way of Knowingness to help the reader understand that they are empowered and self-reliant, that this source of information is already inside of them, and simply by tapping into it, they're going to be able to discover who they are, why they're here, how they can be of service to others, and they can access information about how they can move forward day by day pragmatically to get on path, stay on path, and really feel a momentum in their lives. And this is so important because sometimes for all of us, we will feel that we're kind of stagnating, and we wonder, okay, what happened? I'm off path, I'm feeling depressed, or I'm feeling frustrated, or I'm just not feeling stimulated or a part of the process anymore, as if I derailed and I don't know how and I don't know why. And then there are some folks who never felt they were really on to say all the information any of us need is right there inside of us, and it's just a matter of tapping into it. There's a wonderful quote by a Pulitzer Prize winning American novelist, Ellen Glasgow, and she emphasizes the importance of taking command of one's life. And the quote from her is, "The only difference between a rut and a grave is their dimensions." And when I first read that, I thought, wow, oh my goodness, that's such an amazing quote. So Brent, thank you for asking that question. And the reason this book is such a special project for me is because it's part of my purpose to help others find the right path, but to understand that they have the empowerment, self-reliance, and independence to move forward completely on their own, and to be able to move toward the destiny that they have and that will make their heart and soul sing, and at the same time allow them to make a difference in other people's lives. And so I feel that a big part of my purpose is helping people discover this independence and empowerment, because I think that's a very important dynamic of developing a life that's going to make our heart and soul sing.
Right. Absolutely. That's great. And you talked a lot about this path of knowingness. There's so much out there, so many resources and tools for staying on what is the right path. What do you offer in this book as suggestive tools for helping to stay on that path of knowingness, the path of your soul's calling?
Very good question. I think that sometimes if you find a book, or a film for that matter, that you find a good spiritual resource, I think referring to it every so often is very helpful. In this book, I offer instruction in regard to, in the book, there not only is theory about reincarnation, about destiny, about how we choose each of our lifetimes, about all the dynamics of the choices we make, what gender we're going to be in each lifetime, and what life's work we're going to conduct, and what issues we plan to resolve, what people we're going to be interacting with in our earthly lifetime. But I also offer exercises, and as the reader conducts these exercises each time, and they're simple, easy, they're fun, and every time any of us conduct an exercise to hone our skills, to be able to access this information from our soul and from our angels, we develop a more tangible relationship with the soul and with our angels, and it allows us greater confidence. So it isn't only the ability to be able to access the information that's there just waiting for us, it's our confidence in our own discernment. And the Way of Knowingness really allows the reader to better understand how important the confidence is. And to gain confidence, we need to practice a little bit. And one of the things I adore about accessing intuitive information from the soul or from our guardian angels is that it's such a simple process, and we're already doing it, but we just don't realize we're doing it. And so to help explore the fact that so much of what we think is head talk is actually a dialogue between us and our guardian angels. That's how organically, that's how naturally we feel it. And it's such a natural process from the time that we're infants that we grow up just assuming it's head talk. And also understanding that this knowingness we feel from time to time and these sensations we feel are a part of what the soul is trying to tell us and how the soul is trying to guide us. And so the book explains what information is available in the soul's memory bank, how we can get in touch with some of our past lifetimes, which are very important and influence us now, how we can access this information from the soul to figure out not only what we should and could be doing, but the time frames involved. So our destiny involves not only what we could and should be doing, but time frames. This is why, Brent, some folks say, okay, I don't understand. I was prompted intuitively to do thus and such, but when I did it, it wasn't successful. And sometimes our soul will prompt us to do something and we'll just feel it as an instinct, or we will hear a message inside of our head telepathically. Our angels are prompting us. And so we move forward and do that, but it doesn't work out. It could be that the timing is just off a little bit. So the book offers a lot of troubleshooting, and it reflects the 27 years that I've been working as a channel, not only accessing information for people from their soul, from their guardian angels about past lifetimes, but also teaching them how to do it for themselves just as competently as any professional channel. We all channel, whether we know it or not, and we can build that ability, but also providing the exercises. So it's not only understanding the theory behind all of it, but the exercises that can help hone skills. So there's a very lengthy question and answer section because I wanted to share as much as I possibly could so that when people have this book, they are empowered to independently move forward and access the information that's available to them at any given time, and then discover who they are, why they're here. And one of the tenets of the book, and I believe in this so strongly, I'm very passionate about freedom on the earthly plane. And by freedom, I mean the freedom to be who we are. And Brent, what I've learned, my truth is that earning true freedom on the earthly plane involves letting go of the need for other people's endorsement, permission, support, encouragement, or approval for what we want to do, or for the opportunity to live a life in which we're being true to ourselves. And that's also a part of the book, to promote an awareness of how to develop a kind of life that the reader can love, and rhetorically asking, do you really need other people's permission or approval to be who you are and do what you're here to do? And so often that's what we're looking for, and then we discover, oh my gosh, that's where I've been sabotaging myself. So I wanted to give lots of information, provide lots of troubleshooting tips in the book to help point out how folks might be sabotaging themselves unknowingly, like giving mixed messages to the universe. There's all kinds of ways that we unknowingly sabotage ourselves, but I included as many of those as possible in the book so that this book represents if someone were to have channeled sessions by a professional channel for the rest of their lives, because it will allow them to continue looking inward, developing their channeling skills, and be able to do for themselves what they may have considered going to a professional channel for. And we can't do that in other regards. In other words, we cannot always be our own physician. Although, we can listen to our bodies and hear what our bodies are telling us and make choices about our health care, but we can't always act as our own physician. We can't always act as our own attorney. We can't always act as our own mechanic. You get the idea. But we can act as our own channel because we're all receiving this information, whether we know it or not.
Right, absolutely. And you talked a lot about freedom and kind of free will. And I know on the Path of Knowingness, for me personally, you you kind of toss around the idea of destiny, and you find yourself asking, what is destiny? And I know you address this in the book as well as in your talks. Can you talk a little bit about what exactly is destiny and what's our role in fulfilling our destiny?
Oh, I'd love to. Destiny involves all of the key dynamics that we are to achieve in each of our earthly lifetimes. And destiny involves what we're supposed to do while we're here on the earthly plane and what we're supposed to get accomplished. So, the two most important elements of our destiny in any lifetime we have, and of course, destiny reflects the philosophy of reincarnation, that we have a series of lives in which we keep returning to the earthly plane to evolve and to contribute. And that's why we're here, to evolve and to contribute. So, in each of our lives, we have some wonderful choices to make while we're still in heaven about what we plan to accomplish when we go back to the earthly plane. We choose our gender. Are we going to be male or female? We choose our life's work. We choose what issues we plan to work through. We choose what part of the world we're going to be born into and what kind of family we're going to be born into. Are we going to be adopted? So we need to pick not only biological parents, but adoptive parents. I have come to believe, having worked as a channel, that children pick their parents. So it's interesting to think for a minute about the fact that each one of us has chosen the parents that biologically raised us, or surrogate parents. We choose other souls that we're going to be interacting with, siblings. We choose the people we're going to marry. So all of these things are predestined. They represent what I refer to as a spiritual blueprint. So in each lifetime, we have a spiritual blueprint, and that blueprint, all these choices that we've made, are recorded in our soul's memory bank. And so when we get to the earthly plane, when we're born, when the soul goes into a body at birth, then the soul is continually providing information about what we should be doing, why certain people are in our lives, why we're running into certain stumbling blocks, why we're encountering certain challenges or issues, what we could be doing for other people. And it's there to provide us a compass, a direction. And so two of the most important dynamics in each of our lifetimes involve life's work, the kind of work that we are going to conduct on the earthly plane, utilizing our unique gifts, talents, and abilities, and our issues, the issues that we plan to work through in any lifetime. And the life's work that we conduct allows us to create our own ripple effect. And a ripple effect is the ripples, if you will, of energy that go out among other people that make a positive difference in their lives. So some people are here to provide a ripple effect inside their own families, and some people are here to provide a ripple effect in their communities, and then there are those people that are here to send out a ripple effect worldwide. And of course, that's referred to as world service. And so the people that are here to conduct world service tend to know it, and they know that they're here to do something rather extraordinary for others, and it's just a matter of finding out what that is. This all can seem so confusing when we're sitting there thinking, I don't know who I am, I don't know where I've been, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know anything, my relationships aren't so great, I hate my job, I'm living hand to mouth, I don't like where I live, and I don't even know where to pull a thread to make things better. And so what I share with folks is, if you understand the theory here, and you understand that when you have challenges, the universe isn't punishing you, it's that you are to learn from this. It really gives a different perspective about the earthly plane and what's happening, and what our part of it is, what our accountability is. We need to remind ourselves, and I'm chuckling, we need to remind ourselves that the quality of our life right now is reflective of all the choices we've made up to this point. And sometimes we blame other people and we say, well, I would be moving forward if it wasn't for my husband or my children or my parents or money or my friends or whatever it happens to be. And one of the things that I talk about in the book is the fact that it's really our individual responsibility to accept accountability for what we're here to do, and then to do that regardless of the choices and decisions other people are making around us. Now, that is really simple in theory, but much more difficult in practice, like most things on the earthly plane. So, Brent, to answer your question, destiny involves not only our life's work and the issues that we're meant to work through, but how we're going to be contributing to other people's lives. And also, our soul contains in it the information about the place on the earthly plane that we would be happiest, the identity of our romantic soulmate, if we have a destiny of interacting with a romantic soulmate. It yields all of the answers that we're all looking for. Now, what's interesting, the way that you phrased the question was interesting, Brent, because destiny represents the blueprint that each of us individually has created in heaven, so that when we get to the earthly plane, we have a game plan. We have a set of goals. It isn't as if we come to the earthly plane and we just live, by the seat of our pants, even though it can feel like that sometimes. We all have a very specific, unique set of goals and a time frame in which we're meant to accomplish these goals. So, what happens when we get to the earthly plane? Yes, we have this blueprint, but we don't always remember it. And when we get to the earthly plane, we have what's called free will. So sometimes even when we realize what we could and should be doing, we hesitate for whatever reason. So free will is a part of each earthly lifetime as well. And this is why in some lifetimes we're more productive than others. The free will offers us choices about whether or not we're going to move forward. We're going to muster the courage and the strength to get outside of our comfort zones and to attempt to do something for which we have no confidence. And that's one of the things that holds people back. We say to ourselves, oh my God, I can't do that. It's a dream of mine. It keeps popping in my mind, but I can't do that. I have no confidence to do that. And often it's funny when I channel for folks, and I know when I channel for myself, and I've mentioned over and over, oh my God, I can't do that. Guardian angels, I don't have any confidence. They'll say, Kim, how can you have confidence about something you haven't done yet? And that's what's fascinating about our lives on the earthly plane. We're continually being prompted by our soul and our guardian angels to get outside of our existing comfort zone, but there's no confidence there. So if we muster the courage and the faith and the strength to do that and to attempt to cross into a new chapter of our lives and do something new, maybe it's get a new job, maybe it's start a business, maybe it's to go back to school, it could be starting a garden, it could be whatever it happens to be that's out of our comfort zone, speak in public. We say to ourselves, okay, I don't have any confidence, but I'm prompted to do this, so I'm going to do it. And then when we embark on that new endeavor and we start building confidence, our soul and our angels will be quick to say, okay, now you move to the next step. And we say, well, wait a minute, I'm just building confidence with what I'm doing now, and I'm to get into something brand new for which I have no confidence. And our angels always come back and say, you can't have confidence about something you haven't done yet. Oh, and Brent, if I could mention this, that when we look into past lifetimes, a lot of folks will ask in my workshops, so why is it important to even know where we've been or what we've done? Why is that any kind of priority for me right now? I'm interested in knowing about right now, not about 200 lifetimes ago when I was Princess Nefertiti. I want to know who I am right now, where I'm going, and how I can get there pragmatically every single day. I want a list of specific goals. And what we discover when we look into past lifetimes, we learn so much about who we've been, what we've done, but it adds to our self-awareness. The more self-aware we are, the more we understand what we're capable of. And so if we have looked into past lifetimes and we begin to realize, whoa, look what I've been through. I mustered the courage and the strength to do something and I was killed for it, or I stood up for these other people, or I started a farm and I fed my community, or whatever it is that we did. There are always things to look back on and come away with understanding more about our existing gifts, talents, and abilities. We are the sum total of all of our past lifetimes, not just the short period of time that we've been here in this lifetime, you see. So as we look back, we can do that by engaging with the soul. I have some exercises in my book that allow people to do that. We can also go for hypnosis to be regressed. Oh, it's fascinating. And so we learn so much more about our gifts, talents, and abilities, and about why, oh my gosh, that's why when I first attempted to do thus and such, whatever it was familiar to me. Oh, no wonder certain people in my life were immediately familiar to me. And oh, now I understand more about my fears and concerns and hesitations. And when we look back in past lifetimes, and we better understand why today we may have a fear of water, why today we may have a fear of flying, why today we have a fear of closed spaces, or whatever it happens to be, we look back and we discover, oh, there's a logical reason why I have this fear. And Brent, often when we look back into these lifetimes and we're able to see the source of where the fear or concern or hesitation or anxiety began, we are able to let it go. And so this whole process is so fascinating because it's all about self-awareness. And again, the more self-aware we are, the more we know, the more we can trust about what we're capable of and what we can do. And often, I say to people after private sessions, knowing, if we've talked about their past lifetimes, knowing where you've been and what you've done and the trauma that you've been through, and not every past lifetime involves trauma, of course, but we all have had those lifetimes. And by knowing what we've been through then, it really helps us in this day and time when we're faced with a challenge and we're nervous, we're concerned, we're worried, we don't know if we can do it, or we're incredibly unhappy about it. We can say to ourselves, okay, I was, I was taken by the Nazis and put into a prison camp, and I died there. So I think I can handle this now. So it really sheds light on who we are in totality. So, Brent, thank you for asking that question. I know that was kind of a long-winded answer, but
That's okay. It's very wonderful to listen to you. Very inspired. Well, unfortunately, we do have to take a quick commercial break, but we will be right back with more from Kim ONeill here on Reflections, the Wisdom of Edgar Cayce. Today on the show, we're talking with Kim ONeill about her latest book. And Kim, I wanted to talk to you. You are known, based on your previous books and your lectures, as kind of being a source of wisdom on angels and the angelic realm. Can you tell us a little bit about how our angels can help us achieve our destiny?
oh, I'd love to. We are blessed in each of our lifetimes in that we have a soul that is our internal compass. But in addition to the soul, we are surrounded by our guardian angels who continually and consistently provide us information about where we can and should be moving forward, what we can and should be doing at any given time. And they're consistently speaking with us. And typically, Brent, what our angels will do, they will speak to us telepathically, which means they speak to us inside of our head. And it feels like we're talking to ourselves. And once we begin to, and it's a very simple process, once we begin to differentiate what's popping into our minds from our guardian angels, and we differentiate that from what's coming from the head talk. It is life changing, because then we realize, oh my gosh, I really do have angels. I thought I did, but now I know, and now I know they're really talking to me, and now I know I can hear what they're telling me, and this means that I can tap into this brilliant resource at any time I want to ask any questions I have. And it's life changing. I don't know if you know what it reminds me of, and it felt this way to me. And I know it sounds a little melodramatic, but I don't know if Brent, you ever saw the movie The Miracle Worker, about Helen Keller, and she and Annie Sullivan are sitting by in the film, they're sitting by the water pump, and Annie Sullivan, her teacher, is trying to help her understand in sign language that what she was signing with her hands meant the water.
Right.
And this one day, Helen understood, and then she started asking, what is this? What is that? Table, fork, tablecloth, skirt. And it opened this huge world for her. That's what happens for us as human beings when we realize, oh my gosh, I have angels. They're always talking to me. They're talking to me inside my head, like this ongoing back and forth dialogue I've already been having. So I'm not talking to myself. Oh my gosh, this is my guardian angels talking to me. And this is how I knew that Aunt Martha was going to call after so many years. I wondered how I knew that, and how I knew that I should take a different way home because the way that I typically take was going to be flooded. Or how I knew, that's so funny, that I've been getting this feeling, and it keeps popping in my head, that I need to clean out my drawers, cabinets, and closets. And lo and behold, I got a job offer in another city and I'm moving. How did I know that? So we start connecting these dots, and then we realize, oh my gosh, that means that since they're always there, I can ask them any questions I have at any time of the night or day, and I will be able to get the answer to that question. And that is what really speeds our forward movement. It is amazing. Oh, and we can also ask questions about other people. In other words, what is my purpose in John's life or Mary's life? What am I supposed to be doing for them? Why did this person come into my life? It can make things so much clearer when we meet somebody, for example, and we think, oh my gosh, I think this person is a romantic soulmate. Finally, oh my gosh. And then we interact with that person and they're familiar to us, and suddenly the relationship just falls to pieces, and we think, okay, I don't get it. That person was familiar. I had this sense I was supposed to be with that person, but then how could the relationship fall apart? And we are able to go to our guardian angels and say, okay, angels, what happened here? Why did this person come into my life? What do I have to look forward to now? And that's something else our angels will do. They will not only explain who we are, why we're here, what our list of goals are, the blueprint, if you will, the time frames involved in the blueprint, but also what we have to look forward to. We all want to know, okay, why am I going through all of this right now? What is it leading to? I know it's leading to something better, I hope. What is that going to be? What am I working toward? And it's very positive. This is something really important, and I know I've discovered this in my own life. It can be so frustrating to think that certain goals you've set are the right goals, and you keep working toward them and working toward them and working toward them, and nothing happens. Our angels will help us better understand what goals we should be working on at certain time frames, which means if we are working on the right goals in the right time frames, it means that we are going to be manifesting blindingly fast, and will always be in the process of creating a better reality for ourselves. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of leads into the next question of you discuss the secrets to manifestation in this book. Can you elaborate maybe a little more on that? Because I know that's just a topic that everyone eats up, because obviously who doesn't want to manifest what they want in their lives? But you touch on that in your own unique way. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And Brent, That's what we're here to do. We're here to create the reality we came to live. That's what we're here to do. And the universe
Absolutely.
wants to reward us with abundance. And there's all different kinds of abundance: spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, financial. Okay. I started looking into manifesting when I would be manifesting certain things and it wouldn't happen fast enough for me. Um, it's also a matter of understanding the timing of the universe. I've got Aries rising, so I'm always asking, how soon, how fast, how about the next
Right.
10 minutes? But the, I've had so many people come to my office and say, okay, I have read about manifesting, I've watched films, I've listened to people, I don't get it. How is it possible that I'm doing everything they're saying and nothing is happening with what I want to create? And we sometimes hear, it's a very popular philosophy right now and has been for about 5-10 years, that if we conceive of something mentally and we put enough passion behind it, by golly, the universe is going to listen and we are going to turn it into reality. And what I've discovered, Brent, through all the channeling I've done for 27 years, that's not the case at all. Now, I am not, this is my truth, and I fully respect any philosophies other people have. But my truth and what I've discovered is this, and what I write about in The Way of Knowingness is this. There are 2 secrets to manifesting, period, end of story. 2 secrets. It's real simple. Number 1 is discovering what it is you're supposed to achieve specifically. And number 2, the time frames involved. As you do what you're supposed to do to make the things happen that you're meant to have, it's going to happen. Period, end of story. So sometimes when we sit there and we hear people say, oh, I got a $4 million house and I have a $2 million car and I work 4 hours a week and I blah, blah, blah. Everyone has a different destiny. Some people are here to conduct, we're all as individual as snowflakes. So we can't pattern our lives after anyone else. It's nonsensical. And if we try, we're only going to be frustrated. We came here to be very individual. And I want to share this too. Do we have time for me to share another?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Got a couple minutes before we're taking another commercial break.
Okay, fantastic.
Hmm.
Sometimes people say, okay, Kim, I want to channel just like you do. How do I do it? And I tell them, you never will. Just as I will never channel the way you do. When it
Right.
comes to channeling, when it comes to receiving information from our angels, all of us can do it. And if we put a tiny little bit of practice in, maybe half an hour a week, oh my gosh, our ability just unbelievably turns a corner and we develop this tangible relationship. So, in regard to our own channeling, our individual guardian angels, because I have mine, you have yours, Brent, we all have different guardian angels. We all have a different spiritual blueprint. We all have a different life's work. We all have different issues we're working on. We all have different past lives we've enjoyed. So we're all in a different lifetime. Some people are here right now in their last lifetime. So to compare ourselves to anyone else is nonsensical. And I know that on the earthly plane we tend to do that, but this is how I explain it. In regard to channeling, I tell people, look, it's like we're all artists because we're all channeling. So it's like we're all artists. So say that I'm Picasso and Brent, say you're Renoir, and say, someone else is John Singer Sargent, someone else is Mary Cassatt, and someone else is, whomever. We're all artists, but we all are very different. And that's the beauty of how individual our souls are. That's the
Right.
beauty of it. So we don't want to pattern ourselves after everybody else. We want to be the best person we can be. And so that's something else that I talk about in the book, how individual all of this is. And that's what's exciting when we get to know ourselves and we understand, oh my gosh, gifts, talents, and abilities. Oh, and there are some folks, one of my favorite arguments for reincarnation is the fact that, and we're all entitled to believe what we believe. One of my favorite arguments is when we look at small children, like Shirley Temple, who started her career, she was 18 months, 2 years old. Picasso's first spoken word, was supposed to be pencil. It's fascinating how we have these gifts and talents that emerge when we're kids. Oh, And so many times I'll be channeling for someone and they'll ask about their life's work and their angels will tell them. And they'll say, oh, but that's what I thought about all the time when I was a kid. But then life happened and I let it go and I had responsibilities. And so the information is there. It's a matter of honing in on it to a greater extent. So, Brent, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Absolutely. We're going to take another quick commercial break, and we'll talk more about how to get more in touch with that intuitive discernment. Here on Reflections, the Wisdom of Edgar Cayce. We'll be right back with more from Kim ONeill. And welcome back to Reflections, the Wisdom of Edgar Cayce. Joining me today on the show is Kim ONeill. We're talking about her latest book, along with a lot of other topics here. And Kim, I wanted to talk about something in particular that you address in your book about getting out of your comfort zone, because to me, this is something that's very near and dear. I find great spiritual growth can really come out of getting out of your comfort zone. Can you talk a little bit about that?
You know, Brent, you bring up a wonderful topic and a wonderful question, and I completely agree with you. How else can we feel any achievement and accomplishment unless we're trying something new, unless we're challenging ourselves? And, you know, that's so easy to understand in theory, but then in practice, and that's the key if we are willing to just surrender to the process. So, in other words, when we feel prompted to do something, to simply do it. And I remember when I started to channel and I'm back and forth with my guardian angels all the time, and they would prompt me to do something, I would ask 1,000 questions. But why? But why right now? Well, I don't want to, but I'm scared. But I don't. It doesn't resonate inside of me. So maybe I'm not hearing you correctly. And we have to understand that we can be prompted to do things consistently that don't resonate, particularly if it's out of our comfort zone. And that's how we move forward on the earthly plane. A way to better connect with our angels, and I have some examples in the book, exercises in the book. And you know, every time we conduct a particular exercise, we get a different result because we're continually evolving. It's just like if we see a film now that we saw 10 years ago, we might think, oh my God, there's so much in the film I didn't see or pick up, or now I look at it differently. Does that make sense, Brett?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So I want to share, may I share a story about an exercise? And this is an exercise that I was conducting in front of a workshop group and helping people connect better with their soul's energy, their soul's memory bank, I call it, and their guardian angels. May I share this story?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Okay. We were, I was giving instructions about how to conduct a process called automatic writing. And I have that in the book. And I'd love to go through a meditation exercise in just a moment, if that's okay with you. But in this automatic writing, the key is to sit back with a pencil or a pen on the page and get the brain essentially turned off, if you will, and just allow the soul or guardian angels to move the hand and to create some kind of message. And so there was a room full of people, 150 people or so, and so, you know, then it was quiet and they're working on it. And afterward, I said, would anybody like to comment on what they received? And one gal raised her hand, and it was so interesting. And she said, I just got some scribbles. Can you explain to me what this is? So I trotted over there and I looked, and it was very small little scribbles, and it was a pattern, and it was very deliberate. And she said, Spirit took my hand, but I have no idea what this is. And I looked, and it was a definite pattern, as I just said. And then I saw it was a heartbeat, just like you'd see on a machine at the hospital. It was a heartbeat, and they were very close together. And I said in front of the group, you know what this is? This is a heartbeat. And she went, oh, she, as memory serves, she gasped, and she said, I know exactly what this means, and this answers a huge question that I have, because today as we're here, my daughter, who was supposed to come with me, decided instead to go for in vitro fertilization, and we're hoping she's going to get pregnant today. And this was the soul of the son who had chosen her daughter, and then he was telling his grandmother, the gal who was sitting there, that her daughter was going to get pregnant and that he was coming. And she said, oh my gosh, that's the answer to my question. It's just so amazing that I was able to access that. So we all have these questions that represent not only things about our lives, but the world in general. Why does this happen? Why is that happening? And the answers are all there. So if I could share a very quick meditation exercise to help people get more in touch with their soul or their guardian angels.
Yeah,
Is
absolutely.
that all right? Okay. It's really simple. And I say to folks, you know, as human beings, we all have issues to work through and we all have challenges to meet, but we don't need to create bigger obstacles than what we're destined to experience. And Brett, I think as human beings, we tend to create so much more difficulty than we were supposed to experience. And I think we turn that into an art form. So when we hear about processes that are really simple, we tend to discount them thinking, well, it's got to be more complicated than that. And it doesn't. So the meditation exercise, and I include this in the book, along with some others, along with the automatic writing as well. I call it meditation, and the whole process is being still, and it's recording or focusing on messages that you get from your soul, your guardian angels, and then making notes of it. And this is what people hear or see in their mind's eye, or sensed, or knew, or felt. These are all kinds of sensations that we get in which we really use all of our senses. And as we become more sensitive to this, we realize how much information we're always getting. So this is what I recommend, that you assemble like a notebook and pen. And I know that sounds old school, but a computer is going to be too distracting. So assemble a notebook and a pen, and you want to move to a quiet place. You don't want to move to a neighborhood coffee shop or maybe, you know, the park. It needs to be really, really quiet. And you want to close your eyes. And this is really important. This is key. Ask the brain to become an observer to this process, an observer, and put itself on mute. The more we remember to do that during the day, the more we're going to have faith and know that all the information that we're receiving telepathically inside of our head is angel communication, because the brain is on mute. So a lot of folks think, okay, but oh gosh, I'm afraid to trust what I pick up on in my head. What if it's just my brain? What if it's head talk and not my angels? So put the brain on mute. Take at least 5 slow, deep breaths. With each one, envision that you're letting go of tension and any kind of mental thought processes. Just deep breaths, and then ask a question of your soul or of your angels. It could be any question you want. Remain silent. Wait for the answer, and you should get it within 5 or 10 seconds. It should come lightning fast. And again, it could come in a form of knowingness. It could come with an emotional feeling, with words that pop into your mind, with pictures in your mind's eye, sensations that begin to form, no matter how slight they are. And allow what your soul or angels want to convey by remaining really still, breathing calmly, and write down everything and anything that came to you. And here's a troubleshooting tip. This is really important. And I have lots of these in the book. Do not set expectations. So in other words, sometimes we sit down and say, okay, I've got a question for my angels. It's thus and such. And we get other information. Sometimes our angels think, really? Is that the question you're asking? We think this might be more important, so just be open. Listen to what we want to tell you. It's not that we won't answer the other question. This question we deem is more important. So it's just a matter of learning to work with our angels as a team. So we don't want to set expectations about what we expect to receive during our meditation, just to be open to what flows, what comes, because that's the most important thing for us to have at that time. Remain open to whatever the solar guardian angels wish to communicate. And this is also very important. Do not judge what you receive. oh, this can't be right, I wasn't expecting this, or this is so impossible to believe, it's not going to happen. Not to judge it. You heard what you heard, or you felt what you felt. Write it down. You don't have to share it with anybody, but write it down. And I recommend, Brent, that people keep a notebook of everything that they channel or experience when they're conducting practice exercises, because it does two things. Number one, it provides a record of what you were told, what you accessed from your soul or your angels, because you're not going to remember all of it. There's going to be too much information forthcoming. So
Right.
you have a record of it, and then it allows you to look back over your notes and say, oh my gosh, I'm really building confidence here because my angels told me this was going to happen, or I felt this from my soul, and now I've gotten involved in this endeavor and I love it. Wow, go figure. So it provides a record of everything we've picked up, because we won't remember, and it helps us build confidence as we look back over the information, and we can get a wonderful reality check from our notebook as well, our channeling notebook as I call it, because we see as we progress that we're receiving more information and faster, and it's more in depth. So we learned that the questions we ask dictate what we get back. And
Absolutely.
that is enormously important. So then we learn to ask different questions. And the questions that really reflect what we want to know. But we're welcome to ask anything we like. So that's a very simple meditation exercise that's very successful. And the more we conduct the exercise, once a week maybe, if we want, the faster our ability is going to move forward.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, because I found in keeping a dream journal in my personal life, it's the more you dedicate, actual genuine effort to it, you get huge content. And then, like you said before, looking back on it, I'm absolutely blown away by the amount of stuff that comes through my dreams that, looking back on it, you can put the puzzle pieces together, and it's truly mind-blowing to see what you can access from your intuitive self.
Oh, Brent, that is so cool that you keep that journal, and that you look over it, and you analyze, if you will, you discern the information. That is fantastic. And isn't it astonishing how much information we get when we sleep, and our guardian angels can come and visit with us, departed loved
Absolutely.
ones can come and visit, we can go back into past lifetimes, we can get information in our dreams about the present, about the future. Oh, it's fascinating.
It is, and you truly realize that once you experience that and you get a chance to analyze it all, you realize we truly do have access to unlimited amount of information, and it's incredible, and I highly recommend that everyone find their way of getting in touch with it. And I think one of the best ways is picking up this book, your most recent book, the Way of Knowingness. It's it's something that everybody needs to start embracing. It'll truly liven up their whole entire being.
And Brett, thank you very much. That's very sweet of you, and it's going to inspire. I wrote it to inspire independence and empowerment, and to help people understand how much information they're already being bombarded with, how to access it, how to develop confidence in their own discernment, and apply it pragmatically to their daily lives. And so
Right.
the book is not written in esoteric language. It's a very pragmatic guide to the soul and to the guardian angels, and all of the information there, that's all about, it's all about us as individuals.
Absolutely. And again, I just wanted to remind the listeners that the book is called The Way of Knowingness: The Intuitive Path to Your Spiritual Destiny. And it's by Kim ONeill, who has been with us all day today. Kim, I can't thank you enough for how wonderful it was listening to your wisdom. Your inspiration and your passion behind what you talk about is really, really a treasure to listen to. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's been an honor and a privilege to spend this time with you.
Kim is the featured presenter at the July 19th Soul Growth Saturday conference, and it is entitled The Wealth of Knowingness: Reclaiming the Life You Are Destined to Live. And this is at the ARE headquarters here in Virginia Beach. This is a one-day program that teaches participants how to access their soul's memory bank to achieve your life's purpose and become a happier, more successful person today. Don't forget to pick up her latest book. It's entitled The Way of Knowingness: The Intuitive Path to Your Spiritual Destiny. And this will be available soon at arecatalog.com. On behalf of everyone here at the Association for Research and Enlightenment and MoreTalk.tv, I'm your host, Brenton Bickerstaff, reminding you to never let a day pass without speaking a cheery word to someone you meet. Hope everyone has a great week. I'll see you next week. And now it's time for the Thought for the Day. And joining me this week on the show for the Thought for the Day is Dr. Bill Austin. Bill, thank you so much for joining me again for the Thought for the Day. I always appreciate it.
My pleasure, Brent. Thank you again for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And if you want to go ahead and share the Thought for the Day with our listeners.
I'd be happy to. This comes from reading 1246-2. Yet the choice of that form which any of these shall take is ever dependent upon the will, that heritage from the Father that makes for every soul's development, whether as a companion for those environs of the celestial form, or whether the terrestrial or the earth that must find its way. For the will of self is as of the Father. He hath not will that any soul should perish, but have, with each temptation, with each trial, prepared a way of escape, making as the bridge the cross, over which each soul may find the glory of its Lord, and of that to which it has sought to attain. There's a lot of gems in here. He's talking about it's dependent upon the will. And whose will is he talking about? Our will that I feel like we can create, our egotistical will, that tries to satisfy our desires, or the will of the Father that he says is our heritage. It's something that is given to us by our Creator, and that the Creator's will is not to have anyone perish, but to have an escape route. And the escape route is really a decision. It's a choice to turn back to the bounty of the Father and the security, the safety of God, versus trying to manipulate it and control it and make it happen ourselves. It's for me, it's a very powerful one, saying that we're being held in the hand of God.
Yeah, I agree. It's there is a lot going on in this one. It is very, very profound. The sentence that I really clung to on this one is, "He hath not willed that any soul should perish, but hath with each temptation, with each trial, prepared a way of escape." And to me, that's grace. I define that as grace, where no matter how bad your situation can get, there is always a choice, like you said, to be made. The life just presents you with these decisions, kind of a crossroads, as they're known as,
Mm-hmm.
where you're given this opportunity where you can take the high road or the low road. You can he worded it saying each trial prepared a way of escape, and I think the escape is not so much the escape that you think of where you're leaving it all behind and just forgetting about it all. It's actually escape into a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of awareness. And that's kind of the hallmark of the Cayce readings, is that by taking all these tools that are presented throughout the readings, it's not that you escape all your problems, it's that you're able to reach this level of awareness by having faith in a creator, having faith in just knowing that everything will work itself out, and you escape into that knowing. It's just a state of knowing, and it's a blissful state. It's not something where you just get there and then you're there. Enlightenment is not some path where it's truly a path. It's not something where it has an end where, okay, I've reached enlightenment, I'm good now. It's this constant, you're constantly presented with choices, with situations where you have these different paths that you can take, and it's you can always find the answer, I think, intuitively by searching deep enough, and you reach these levels of awareness that
Yeah.
I could go on and on about how special it is to have that tool built into have it built into our sojourn here.
Right. And it's not an escape in the sense, as you were saying, of getting away, more in the sense of returning home.
Right. Absolutely. And it's incredibly inspiring to know that that's always available to us, and there's so many different paths to get to that place. You know, the kingdom within, it's commonly called. It's heaven. It's truly a state of heaven that you can create here on earth. Casey made it very clear that it's a state of consciousness, a state of understanding where, you know, you can bring heaven down onto the earth plane. It's inspiring to know that that's always there.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Bill, thank you so much for joining me again for the thought for the day. Always inspiring to hear your words.
My pleasure, Brent. Thank you once again for having me.
Absolutely.